know, it has been a long time since we've heard it. You know, it is the theme song for Rod on the Road. He visits different cities in the area to see what you love about your hometown.
Yeah, obviously things have changed a little bit in the past few months. And so, Rod, you are giving us a virtual version for right now.
I am. So we're going to feature Newport this week. Now, obviously, we're not saying let's go to Newport and have a big party, but we are going to take this moment this week to just celebrate Newport. And if you live there, don't worry. Once we actually get back in the car and start doing our normal Rod on the Road, we still hope to come to Newport live, but this week we'll do it virtually. So what do we know about Newport? Well, let's take a look. Of course, it's the county seat of Lincoln County, the largest city there along the central coast, by the way. And you can find out more about simply going to my KGW Rod Hill Facebook page to read some of the comments that we're going to be sharing from our viewers. Newport, by the way, developed around Yaquina Bay, becoming one of the larger commercial fishing hubs in the state. And the name, if you didn't know, does in fact come from Newport, Rhode Island. All right, now if you've been there, you've no doubt noticed Yaquina Head Lighthouse. Annie Sharif shared us her photo, calling it her favorite place, the lighthouse. I did not know this. 93 feet tall, and that makes it the tallest lighthouse along the Oregon coast. And we begin with missing Moe's clam chowder. Valerie says she's been craving Moe's for months. Bill says he wishes he was sitting at Rogue, the brewery, which I've not been to, but a lot of people say that's just a fantastic spot. Carol posted this photo of herself on the beach riding an electric bike. Her and her hubby moved to Newport just a few years back, and they love it. Greg says he loves Newport. Rogue and the aquarium there are some of his favorite spots. The aquarium, by the way, opened up in 1992, and get this, it's one of the larger aquariums in the entire country. So that's pretty cool. You know, and we talked about Yaquina Head, the lighthouse, last half hour. And that lighthouse has a history that goes back to 1873, so that's a deep history. So Greg Broadwater is one of our 5-star sunrise viewers. Greg watches our show every morning, and he loves to participate when we ask, and we appreciate that, Greg. And he loves Newport. He shared a lot of photos on our Facebook page. A couple things he pointed out. You know, of course, the Yaquina Bridge, the aquarium, but also the Oregon State University Hatfield Marine Science Center. And I had a chance to talk with him more about his visit to the Science Center.
The Oregon Coast Aquarium is right there, and you've got the tunnel to walk through and all sorts of things to do with the aquarium. So love that. And then the OSU Hatfield Marine Science Center is kind of next door adjacent to that. You used to be able to go in, they had like tide touch pools, they had experiments with tsunami and like how strong waves are. You know, it's just, that's a memory growing up from when I was a kid. Just my parents would take my brother and I there because the aquarium wasn't there. So,
you know, I've been to the aquarium, but I have not stopped by the Hatfield Marine Center. And check this out. They actually have an Octocam with a 24/7 live view of the octopus there. You can check that out on YouTube. The aquarium is one of the top 10 aquariums in the country. You probably realize that. Of course, all is closed right now and hoping to get back open someday soon. Annie Sharif's posting this pic. I'm sure if you've been to Newport, you've probably seen this too. She loves watching the big sea lions just kind of hanging out on the dock there along the bayfront. Always enjoyable to watch that for a while. And then Connie, she posted this. She says she loves walking along the boardwalk there, and she has coffee at Bayscapes Gallery and Coffee overlooking the bay. All right, and this shot coming up, this is beautiful. Sharon out at sea, and she grabbed this shot. She says, we're socially distancing. You can see the ships are. But really a pretty shot. We're talking about the lighthouses. So Newport's actually home to 2 lighthouses. You have the Yaquina Bay, and then you have the taller Yaquina Head Lighthouse. And yesterday we caught up with Jay Moeller. Jay Moeller is the chief park ranger at the site where they have the visitor center. And he stresses all of that is closed right now for good reason. But he did tell us an interesting story about why lighthouses were so important when they first went in back in the 1800s.
Most folks say lighthouses were built to keep the ships off the rocks. Well, you know, that's kind of true. But if you were a wise captain flying the waters of the Oregon coast in the 1800s at night, you wouldn't want to stay too close to the rocks anyway. Matter of fact, you'd probably anchor your ship and be done with the whole deal. Lighthouses were built to make this brand new Oregon territory financially successful. So if you can imagine the ocean highway like Interstate 5, and every night Interstate 5 shuts down, that's going to have a big effect on the success of farms and businesses in the Willamette Valley. And in 1848, when Congress granted Oregon and California territories of the United States, Congress knew that they needed lighthouses to keep the ocean highway open 24/7.
Isn't that fascinating? I really appreciate Jay giving us his time. So the lighthouses in the 1800s, they were generally spaced 40 miles apart, and each lighthouse had a beam of light that could be seen 20 miles. So you go 20 miles to the south, and the captains of the ships could pick up the light from the next lighthouse shining 20 miles, and et cetera, et cetera. Really interesting stuff. And we start our viewer comment from Joan and her story. So here's Joan. She says her husband, John, proposed to her there at the lighthouse 28 years ago. They spent their honeymoon in a hotel in Newport overlooking the lighthouse. They consider the beach a very special place for them. All right, next up is Leanne. She posted this photo from a few years ago when she visited the wooden ships there. She says she grew up camping at South Beach, and her parents always took her to the bayfront for saltwater taffy. I still love saltwater taffy myself. Just give me your chamber pitch for Newport. Not the tourist town, but what you like about just living in this relatively small community along the Oregon coast.
The arts. The arts is huge here. So when we moved here, and of course we signed up for the newspaper, and we saw, oh, they've got theaters there. We went there, and of course, being Sacramento, we expected to pay $100 for a ticket, $20 to park, and show up 45 minutes early to get there. It's like we get there, and we bought the ticket at the door. It's free parking, and the theater was just phenomenal for a small town. All of a sudden, there was just a ton of people. We could barely pull out of our little street. And I asked everybody, what's the deal? And they said, oh, it's spring break. So I said, oh, okay, well, after a week, spring break will be over. And they said, no, that was Oregon spring break. Next week is Washington spring break. And after that, it's California spring break. And so basically from about April through September is tourist town. And then about after September rolls in all of the big fifth wheels, and it's all the old people like me.
Let's continue with viewer Brandy this morning. Brandy Kelly shared this photo of her daughter Brooklyn. She says both of them love crabbing on the pier whenever they go to Newport. Viewer Donna, meanwhile, shared this photo from her neighborhood there in Newport. She says she loves the fresh ocean air and hearing the roar of the waves. That's what I love about going to the coast too. Viewer Michelle, meanwhile, says she loves camping when she goes to Newport, and you can see her son Paxton there. What's up, little guy? Good morning, Paxton. And we're going to end with this shot because it is awesome. A breathtaking look, that is, at the iconic Yaquina Bay Lighthouse from Yale Fogarty. Yale, you are the man for sending that in. We thank you for sharing that awesome photo with us. It's a virtual edition of Rod on the Road.